Our today's topic is taphonomy and fossil record, and in that we will be discussing that what is taphonomy and what is fossil record. The taphonomy is the paleontological study that includes all the processes that occur after the death of an organism and before its fossilization in the rock. So whenever an organism dies, there is a particular process involved when after death there are some changes, and how that particular carcass or the remains of that organism change into the fossilized forms which we can see today. So the plants and animals with hard tissues are most frequently preserved in the fossil records. The reason is very commonsensical. Why hard? Because the soft tissues are much more prone to decay and scavenging, right? So the hard tissues, just like bones or nails, these are the things which cannot decay properly. And even if they do, they take a long time. If they take, during the process of decay, if they are able to attain some such circumstances in which they can be preserved, they will turn into fossil that can be seen after long periods of time. The soft tissues usually decay rapidly, but rapid barrier and early mineralization may prevent decay. It is not that we cannot find the soft tissues in the fossilized form. We do. Why? Because there sometimes in the period of which are the periods which are very much beneficial for the preservation of those fossils, those soft tissues can also be preserved, and this results into extraordinary preservation. And these sort of fossils, as we have discussed in very first lecture, were found in Australia, where bacterial colonies, the earliest unicellular organisms, were discovered. The physical and chemical processes during transport and compaction, the damages to the hard tissue, all of these things that are after the initial preservation. After a fossil is preserved, then it leads to the physical and chemical changes. And after that, after those changes, it leads to there might be some transport as well. And how does that transport affect? Does it help or does it distort the information that was going to be preserved and now it is not anymore? And then there are the plants. Plants are also present in the form of fossils. And plants are preserved as permineralized tissue, qualified compressions, and cemented casts. And what are these? We will be discussing later. So many of the analytical approaches used by the taphonomists, of course, the scientists who are working in taphonomy, are used by the forensic scientists. Now, if we see what do the forensic scientists do, forensic scientists are working in maybe some law and order situations when there are some people killed, right? So they have to know when this particular person was killed and what are the different changes after the murder that took place. And they are studying the changes after that person was killed. And same is the case for the paleontologist and taphonomist as well. The taphonomists are looking at the fossil and they take care of the aspects of the fossils which are related to the changes after the animal or the specimen, whatever animal or plant it was, it died and the process of preservation started. Both forensic scientists and taphonomists, they observe the state of decay of remains, and they are also concerned with the measurement of the chemistry of the bone. Why bone? Because the bones are hard parts. They are of course, that's what remains, right? For example, if there was a murder that took place in an open area and there was a lot of time after that, what will happen? That they will just have the bones, the skeletal remains there, and they will be looking at those. So is the case for the taphonomist as well. Most of the fossils that we have today, they are bone in nature. So, and how do they do that? They assess the rare earth elements such as scandium, yttrium, and 15 other lanthanides. And archaeologists and paleontologists use these techniques to assess that what would have been happened after that particular organism died and the preservation or the fossilization took place. And now there are some questions that we have to discuss in this topic, which are that what is the quality of the fossil record? Fidelity, that means how correctly it tells us the information that we supposed to take from it. For example, if we see a plant, what was the shape of the plant, how this plant was, what type of environment this plant was inhabiting, and the quality of the fossil record we will be discussing about. But there are some important questions, such as, can paleontology trust the patchy fossil finds to understand the large-scale patterns of evolution? So, of course, this is a very, very important question. We are just having a very small chunk of rock, and we are deducing that in that particular time, this happened. So, we have to be very careful about that, and we have to be very precise about that as well. So, paleontologists should be careful when they attempt to reconstruct a whole plant or animal and try to understand its biomechanics when they have just a few bones or bits of twigs. So, biomechanics is a field which is related that how an organism walks. Now, I have a particular bone of a particular dinosaur, and I am trying to assess that how that particular dinosaur worked. So, this is very different question. I haven't seen him, and nobody in this earth has seen him. So how did that particular dinosaur walk? This is a question, and we can only speculate. And that speculation must be based on actual evidence. Only one piece of bone cannot give us that information. So also care is required to seeking to understand the patterns of diversity change and evolution when many fossil species are missing. We don't have many fossil species because of the factors that we will be discussing in the later topics, in which we will discuss that what are the things that makes the fossils record inadequate, right? So in that topics, we will be discussing that why the fossils are not a complete set of organisms that were present in those particular times. And there are diverse opinions and arguments in favor and against of the fossil records if they are adequate to explain the earlier events in the life history of this earth.